Okay, here we go. I do believe we are live. Greetings, beloved brothers and sisters, all of you who are currently tuned in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, shalom, ja Rastafari. Welcome, dear beloved brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are, tuned in this evening to another episode of the Image and Nation show. Sitting next to me is my trusty companion and beautiful wife, Sister Claudia Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and welcome to another show of Imagination. I pray that you're all safe and well, and thank you so much for your time this week. Assalamu alaikum.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, dear sister. Dear brothers and sisters, as always, I like to begin by saying what an honor and a privilege it is for me, for us to come to you wherever you are located at the present time, wherever you are currently tuning in from. We are forever thankful and grateful to the Almighty Creator of the heavens and the earth for blessing us with life and giving us this wonderful opportunity to share some of those beautiful life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught and exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad. Dear family, that is my foundation. That's what I'm standing on. The Image and Nation show is inspired by the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the determination is to bring enlightenment, to bring inspiration, to bring light, life, and energy to the lives of human beings, and to allow us to once again use that tremendous faculty of imagination that we might see outside of the box in which many of us have been confined. The vast majority of the members of the human family have been confined to a box of darkness. And today is the day when we must come out into the light. Today is the day, dear beloved family, when dealing with the subject matters that we deal with on the Imagination show. Some of them are very heavy. Some of them can leave one really contemplating and thinking deeply about this life and asking ourselves questioning self, because oftentimes we are being challenged on the Imagination show to look at ourselves and to think about, what we do, what we say, how we are, what is our attitude toward this life. And we are constantly being called to action to make changes in our lives. And so the Imagination show may be heavy on occasion, but in reality and in truth, it is about life. It is about the abundance of life. It is about a refreshing nourishment of this life rather than, stagnation and atrophy and basically just going backwards or, going along with this world to get along, when in reality, we are living in a world that's absolutely crumbling, that's unraveling at its seams. This is the reality, and this is why, in my humble opinion, the Imagination show is very, very important, very, very timely, and I pray that each and every one of you who tune in with us each and every week, that you get something from these shows and that you are able to go forward in your life and be more successful and be more abundant in this life. Thank you so much, dear brothers and sisters, for tuning in once again. I have to begin with an apology for last week, because last week everything just crashed towards the end of the show. Unfortunately, we have some internet problems at the present time. The internet provider is not doing a great job. Not sure exactly what's going on, but I'm praying that we don't have those types of issues again this week. I am constantly experimenting. At the moment, I'm experimenting with a new camera. I'm experimenting with different things, and anything can go wrong in truth. I'm not sure about the duration of the battery that I'm currently using on this camera, but we will see, dear family. And if you would just bear with me, I'm really trying to, through experimentation, develop something that has longevity and something that can be relied upon, something that we can literally set our clocks by. And so with that, dear family, as you can see on your screen, you should be able to see, it says welcome to episode 46 of the Image and Nation show. We are 46 weeks into this program of events, and today's show is entitled 1984 is Now. That's the title, dear family. 1984 is now. I just want us to think about that and contemplate that, because you know what we have in this world, and what happened some years ago, nearly 70 years or so ago now. A book was written called 1984, and that book has really influenced a lot of things and a lot of people and a lot of the contemporary realities in life. 1984 has had a tremendous impact on the psyche of human beings in one form or another, in one way or another. Oftentimes, 1984 will come up because of its significance when it was written in around 1949, I believe. It may have been written in 1948, almost like a juxtaposition, a reversal of 1984, 1948, published in 1949. But that is our subject matter this evening. 1984 is now, dear beloved family. I hope everybody's good. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as we go along. Call a member of your family, call a loved one, call somebody that you care about. Let them know that the Image and Nation show is live and direct right now on Zoom and also on YouTube. Dear family, Eric Arthur Blair was born in Bengal, India in 1903 and later became known as George Orwell. George Orwell. This is a name that's gone down in history, and as I said before, has had a tremendous influence and impact on many, many people in terms of the observation of the way in which life has unfolded, in terms of politics and certain social dynamics. This man and his works have influenced the current generation of thinkers, and this is our subject this evening. George Orwell was a novelist, journalist, essayist, and critic, best known for his novels Animal Farm, I believe that was written in 1945, and 1984, our subject today, written in 1949. Dear beloved family, the word Orwellian conveys the fear of a future for humanity governed by rival totalitarian regimes who rule through suffering, deprivation, deceit, and fear, and who debase language and people equally. I hope you're following us this evening, dear family, because this, to me, is a very important subject. We don't really deal with subjects that don't pertain to the reality of our lives in 2022 and beyond. Orwellian. You will hear people say, oh, that's Orwellian, because they are referring to Orwell, George Orwell, and his depiction, his writing about this place in the future, this totalitarian regime who rule through suffering, deprivation, deceit, and fear, and who debase language and people equally. This is what we are dealing with this evening. The word totalitarian, dear family, means the kind of government where the real head of the government is unknown to the public. Now, I know you think that Boris Johnson is the leader, is the head of the government. I know you think that Liz Truss or Richie Sunak is going to be the head. I know some of you in North America are thinking that right now Joe Biden is running things, and, you know, in the 2024 election in America, maybe Trump may come back or some other one may step up and take that position in the White House. But I can assure you, dear family, that those are merely figureheads, but the real leaders, the real power brokers behind that particular throne are often, or are not often, but are unseen and unknown. This is the reality. This is totalitarian, means the kind of government where the real head of the government is unknown to the public. Such a regime unleashes propaganda to make people believe in the lies presented by the government. In the story of 1984, we never see Big Brother. We only know he is watching. Big Brother is watching you. There are big posters everywhere. Big Brother is watching you. And this is how we are informed of that secret observer, but never ever really seeing who it is and fully knowing why they are watching. The political party exercises complete control over the writing of a diary, thoughts, feelings, and even the sex lives of the people in the society. Believe me, dear family, again, you got to remember Edward Snowden and his revelations and how they are constantly eavesdropping and snooping on every single piece of communication by human beings on planet Earth, not targeting terrorists and targeting, you know, people who are subversive and people who are troublemakers or whatever, looking at everything and everyone. And you may think, oh, because maybe you're still writing a little diary in a notebook somewhere. Well, we're not really talking about that. In the modern era, most people have electronic diaries. Everything that's on our phones, most of us today, it's in the cloud. It's in the cloud. Well, do you not think that these people have got access to the cloud? I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan refer to these demons on one occasion as the international snoopers. I think he even quoted the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as being the one who coined that particular phrase at a particular time. International snoopers, dear family. It is reported, brothers and sisters, that Orwell, George Orwell, first coined the phrase Cold War. I just want us to think about that. He was postulating an atomic stalemate. That's where Cold War comes from. This is where atomic powers, nuclear powers, are at a stalemate, and they know that neither one can attack the other, because if they do, it's what they call mutual annihilation or mutual assured destruction. And the acronym for that is MAD, mutual assured destruction. And this is the stalemate that exists in the world between the so-called nuclear powers. And it was Orwell, according to what I've read, who coined that phrase Cold War. But imagine, we live in a world that is at perpetual war. Whether it's a hot war where guns are actually being fired and bombs are being dropped and people are being annihilated, buildings are being destroyed, or literally a state of war exists in a cold atmosphere where there are threats and all manner of espionage and counter-espionage going on between the various nations, but they are afraid to go to the hot war simply because they know that it represents, you know, this mutually assured destruction. But this is the kind of world that we all currently live in. And whether we like it or not, this is the reality. This is the world that we live in. And so we can't continue to pretend that, we're not aware of such things. We must be aware, dear family, that there are forces in this world that keeps us literally in perpetual warfare. Whether it's hot or cold, it still is war. And that doesn't lend itself to people feeling secure and people feeling that they can maximize their potential and do what they were put on the planet Earth to do by Almighty God. You're literally constantly in a mode of survival and trying to second guess what is about to happen or could potentially happen. I don't know how many of you followed the news in the UK, but just a few days ago, somebody was chasing another person, trying to shoot them, and they ran into somebody's house, into a stranger's house, and a 9-year-old child was subsequently shot to death. This is the kind of world that we live in, dear family, where firearms are readily available and people are readily able to use them and use them on a daily basis to slaughter one another, and oftentimes in the process kill innocent people, innocent children. A 9-year-old girl losing her life under those circumstances. Dear family, Orwell's masterwork, 1984 or 1984 written with the numbers in later editions, is a bleak vision of the world divided into 3 oppressive nations and depicting a fictional future full of despair and fear, where a big brother government controls every aspect and detail of a person's life, even down to their own private thoughts. I'm deliberately repeating certain things because I just want us to understand, dear family, how as a human family today, we are so manipulated and we are so controlled and we are so exposed in terms of the lack of privacy that currently exists, and this Orwellian state that we live in, where the government is expanding continuously and encroaching more and more into every human life. This is what we are talking about this evening. 1984 is now. 1984 in reality, dear family, has been here for a very long time, and it keeps increasing in intensity. In 1984, the world is sliced into 3 political realms: the superstates of Oceania, East Asia, and Eurasia. Oceania covers the entire continent of America and the British Isles, the main location for the novel in which they are referred to as Airstrip 1. Just think about this now. This is Oceania as depicted in 1984, and this basically is talking about the United States of America and the United Kingdom. See the way Orwell put those two together, because they are joined at the hip, they're conjoined twins, they're joined at the head, they're joined at the heart. There is no separation between Great Britain and the United States of America. They are one and the same. Eurasia covers Europe and more or less the entire Soviet Union or Russia today. This is how Orwell saw these 3 blocks of power, these so-called superstates, or as they would use in the modern parlance, superpowers. And then there is East Asia, covers Japan, Korea, China, and northern India. If you notice, there is no mention in any of this of that magnificent and great continent called Africa. Africa, the largest landmass on the planet, but yet there is no consideration of that. Yet what you'll find is that, you know, Africa is continuously part of that landmass, those disputed territories that these other nations are fighting over and exploiting on a continuous basis. But we are so divided against ourselves on that continent that we're not even considered as one of the powers that can actually rival any of these other powers. And so we didn't even figure to any extent in George Orwell's 1984. Dear family, imagination, promoting and advertising goods and services for the benefit of our community. Please take note of the following and lend your support. Visit www.natureshairproducts.co.uk and try the beard oil, specially formulated hair butters, and so much more from Nature's Hair Products. Check it out, dear family. These hair products are fantastic for the rejuvenation and the good health of your hair. And that's hair on your head, on your face, you know, wherever you have hair and you want it to be at its best, check out Nature's Hair Products. WYLA for boys and girls age 8 to 16, producing our future leaders. Visit www.wylauk.com and sign up your young person, sign up your child to be a part of that academy, which is designed to bring out their leadership qualities, their leadership potential. Check out JJ Sorrel products at Sorrel 2020 and try these beautiful jams and juices and cupcakes and all manner of food stuff produced using the sorrel plant, the hibiscus plant, and try some of these tasty foods that have been produced for your consumption. Dear family, the 3 states are in a perpetual state of warfare. This is according to George Orwell's 1984. Sometimes 2 against 1, sometimes all 3 against each other. Now this is important, you know, because one of the reasons why we're going through this is because, again, we want to juxtapose the novel called 1984 against what you see taking place today. And just the other day I was watching one of some news broadcast, and they were talking about America and how America, these are some of the political strategists who are having conversations, these talking heads on this news program. But they were saying how America is messing up, making a terrible mistake, because what it's doing by its sanctioning of Russia in the manner in which they've done it, and then the targeting of China in this conflict that is currently unfolding in Taiwan, is that they're pushing the Chinese and the Russians together. But this is not smart, according to these talking heads. What they ought to be doing is making friends with China and isolating Russia and having China on their side. And I was just reflecting on this conversation because, you see, again, if we don't understand history, and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that history is best qualified to reward our research. If we don't understand that in the Second World War, for instance, Russia and Britain and America were allies. They were together. They were fighting together. And in truth, if it wasn't for Russia, okay, if it wasn't for the Soviet Union, Britain and America could not have won that Second World War. And in fact, the Russians lost the most of people of all the more than Germany, more than Britain, more than America, possibly combined. Okay, because they were going into 20 odd million lives lost, possibly up to nearly 30 million people dead. And this is the type of sacrifice that they made during that conflict against Nazi Germany. Okay, but now Russia's the enemy, and this is what Orwell is talking about here, where 1 minute it's maybe two against one, two of these power blocks against another, or one against two, or all of them against each other. This is what he's showing you, how in this future scenario, this is how it's going to unfold, and where today this one is the enemy, tomorrow this one may be a friend. And there's all of these strategies being played out, and geopolitics being played out, where behind the scenes they're trying to get different nations to align with other nations and come away from their previous alliance with another nation. So you've got India, who has got conflict with China at the present time, but the Americans and the British, they'd like to maybe pull India away from China into their bloc. And you got Turkey, that's playing a very significant role right now in this NATO alliance, but at the same time Turkey is edging its bets with Russia, and so on and so forth. You've got some of the Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, who have got big deals and alliances and partnerships with the West, but at the same time they're also edging their bets when it comes to Russia. And so this is what Orwell is describing. He says 3 states in a perpetual state of warfare, sometimes 2 against 1, other times all 3 against each other. These wars are fought in the disputed territories. Remember I mentioned earlier on about Africa being one of these disputed territories, and other places like the South China Sea and Ukraine today, Crimea. All of these places are disputed territories on our planet, and they are constantly fighting over these. Many disputed territories in the continent of Africa, because these borders were drawn by Europeans. They weren't initiated by Africans, they were drawn by Europeans, and they were deliberately drawn in such a way that they would cause conflict and clashes today between the indigenous peoples of those regions, who are fighting over artificial barriers that have been erected deliberately by an enemy to keep us divided and ruled. This is what's going on all over our planet. These wars are fought in the disputed territories, running from North Africa over the Middle East and southern India to Southeast Asia. And yet, dear family, this particular article says, and yet, the war might just not even be real at all. I want you to think about what's been said here. The oceanic media are one-sided and fabricate facts. In 1984, there is the suggestion that the 2 other powers may be a fabrication of the government of Oceania. So here you've got now a suggestion in 1984 that Oceania, this is Britain and America, may even be making up enemies, creating enemies. And I'm telling you, dear family, this has happened, okay? This has happened. Al-Qaeda was created by the West. This is real, all right? ISIS was created by the West. These are fabricated enemies who are inspired and created by the West in order to have an external foe that can get the nation's populace concentrated on this terrible enemy on the outside, so that they can continue to do their nastiness and their madness on the inside, unbeknownst to those of us who are being tricked. 1984, as written by George Orwell, was really, really ahead of its time in terms of its predictions of this dark and wicked future. In 1984, there is a suggestion that the two other powers may be a fabrication of the government of Oceania. This would make Oceania a one world government. I want you to think about what America and Britain are desirous of achieving. And when I say America and Britain, the powers behind America and Britain, the international bankers and power brokers who are behind America and Britain, desiring that these nations, these entities, should be the ruling power brokers on the planet, to have complete hegemony on the planet and to control everything on the planet. This is what's going on. This would make Oceania a one world government. This one world government, also called Airstrip 1, according to 1984, fabricates eternal global war to keep its people per and on rations. Rations and rationing is coming, dear family. War is coming. The war in Ukraine will spread. Okay, it will not remain isolated to that part of the earth. It will spread. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, following the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, has told us in no uncertain terms that Europe will become a theater of war. On a recent front page of the magnificent Truth Teller newspaper, The Final Call, it declared Europe will become a graveyard. This is the reality of what's coming, and along with that is famine, and along with that is all manner of darkness and deprivation, and a terrible, terrible time for the members of the human family. And we have to begin now to prepare ourselves for such eventuality. And we must, dear family, be about the business of survival. We must think in terms of having our own survival kits in our homes. We must think in terms of being able to stay in our homes for maybe up to 3 months, unable to leave, unable to go out, because martial law has been declared on the streets, and the streets are now completely lawless. We have to, dear family, begin to think about such serious realities, because this is where this world is currently heading. This is the reality of where we live and what is happening on our planet. Dear family, in the book of Revelation chapter 12 verse 9, it says, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." Dear family, as we always say on the Imagination Show, this devil is not found under the ground with a pitchfork and some horns and red skin and a tail. This is not the devil the scripture is talking about. The devil the scripture is talking about is man. The devil the scripture is talking about is very real, and he commands tremendous power on this earth. He has weapons of war. He has money at his disposal. He has influence, and he has angels, or what you might call hell's angels, who do his bidding. People who have embraced the dark side, people who have embraced the negativity of self, and they revel. They are, there's a term, Machiavellian. They revel in deception and evil, and they love it. That's their leaning, that's their propensity, that's what they do. And this devil, this Satan, has been cast down to the earth. He's very angry, dear family, because he knows and recognizes, unlike many of us, that there is a living God who is also a man, who is also a human being. You might say a superhuman. You might say the supreme being. But that one is real as well, dear family. And as we speak, there is a war going on between the two. And ultimately, you and I have to make a decision about which side we are on, who we will stand with. Orwell, George Orwell, did not like, trust, or respect mainstream media, dear family. And he had good reason. Despite Orwell's disdain for the BBC during his life, an 8-foot bronze statue of the writer was installed and unveiled outside the BBC in London in November 2017. Let me just say very quickly something about that. This man never had no time for BBC and these institutions. He knew that they were a part of the kind of potential for this totalitarian state, and he had tremendous difficulties even getting some of his books published. That other book that he wrote, Animal Farm, no publisher would touch it until he had to say that it was satire, that it was like a cartoon. And by saying it was like a cartoon, really about animals on a farm or whatever, then eventually he could get it published. But because they knew the political power of that book in terms of the information that it was sharing about revolutionary force, if are not careful, how they can very quickly begin to conform to the power that they've just overthrown. They can become just like that same power. The powers that be were determined to suppress such works until he said, oh, it was a fable or a satire or something of that nature, and in a sense, something watered down that they would publish. And so when you see the BBC erecting a 8-foot bronze statue to such a figure, it is to give the impression that they have embraced Orwell, that they have embraced, this concept of this truth teller. In truth, that's what he was, this man who really was exposing so much of the corruption in the system. This is to fool us, fool you and me into thinking that, they had some kind of love for George Orwell. They had no love for this man, dear family, but they will erect a statue. They've erected a statue of Nelson Mandela in the West End, outside of the Palace of Westminster, the Houses of Parliament, to give us the impression that they respected, loved, and honored this man. But in reality, they called him a terrorist. In reality, they sat back while he was in prison for 27 years for just having aspirations for freedom, justice, and equality. This is the kind of people that you're dealing with. They will erect a statue, dear family. They now have stamps for Malcolm X. They never loved Malcolm X, but some of us are so foolish. We see a stamp for Malcolm now, we think, oh, Malcolm has arrived. He's been accepted. You remember what happened to Muammar Gaddafi when he was brought in from the cold, when he was accepted? It was a trick to kill him. It was a trick to destroy his beautiful, powerful, progressive nation in the northern part of Africa. Dear family, and then they use Libya as a gateway now to go in with groups like AFRICOM and other groups that are inspired and motivated and financed from North America and Britain to basically infiltrate the continent and bring about neo-colonization. This is what's happening. This is what's been planned. This is what's being executed as we speak. And so, dear family, an inscription on that 8-foot statue reads, "If liberty means anything at all, It means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. Let me just say that again before I bring in Sister Claudia. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. And we're living right now in a climate where their freedom of speech is being restricted, where people can't say, being denied the ability to say truth because, oh, it may upset some people. But remember this, dear family, the truth is an offense, but it's not a sin. The truth may offend you, but it's not a sin. And truth is something that we must speak regardless to whom or what. Go ahead, Sister Claudia.
Right, I'll just read some comments from YouTube. Yon Mohammed says, we must not fall for Satan's weapons of division, suspicion and doubt. If we are divided, we can be controlled and conquered. He also said, hell raising is not the nature of the black man and woman. We must not follow the ways of the true hell raisers.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful comments. Thank you so much, Yon Muhammad. Love that, man. And by the way, to all of you who are currently tuned in, feel free, beloved family, because what I try to do, I do try to be as comprehensive as I can in these presentations, but at the same time, I don't want to spoon feed. And I do want you to put your input in and to come up with some of those ideas and concepts that may be missing from these presentations to really show that you understand what we are dealing with and that we're only touching the surface. There's just so much more that we could say, but we just don't have that kind of time. Anything else, Sister Claudia?
Well, I'll just say a shout out to General Livertor, DJ Mr. P,
Wonderful.
Amy Wright from Chicago.
Who's that?
Amy Wright.
Okay, Amy Wright from Chicago. Okay.
Annabelle Rass and Percy P.O.W.E.R once again says they're on their break and
Beautiful.
They will tune in later.
I wonder how long do you get for your break, Percy P? How long do you get for your break? When I was working in those environments, I only had half an hour.
Yes, for 8 hours.
8 hours, yes. When I was doing an 8-hour shift, I would get half an hour in that time. So, dear family, go ahead, Sister Claudia.
No, we'll have to get back to Percy P. They've asked, they tried to make an order on Proud to Be Black website, and it didn't have an option to ship, so we'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that one because we want those Proud to Be Black products to really get out to North America. Wherever you are in the world, you should be able to get that. So we will find out what's going on with shipping to the States. I believe that's where you are. Themes of 1984, George Orwell, totality. These are some of the themes that run through that book, 1984. Totalitarianism, which means total control, pure power. Okay, this is what totalitarianism means. Total control, pure power. Another theme, propaganda machine. What is a propaganda machine? This is your news. This is your nightly news, dear family. This is the radio, those radio talk shows where the talk show hosts themselves are gatekeepers and they're just there to send out feelers on the current subject of the day to see where the heads of the people are at and to chop off those heads that try to go beyond the box that people have been confined in and to promote the line of the government or promote the, even though they'll come like they're in opposition. Believe me, dear family, this is tremendous trickery that we are subject to. These are propaganda machines. These are these telephones that we carry, these devices that we have today, full of advertisements and full of all manner of things which come at us 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We are being propagandized. This is what runs through 1984. Love. When love is mentioned in 1984, It's not love of each other. It's not love between a man and a woman. It's love of the party, the political party, and love only for Big Brother. This is how love is depicted. And this is where we're heading in this world, where people are supposed to have loyalty and faith to a system rather than real, genuine love for one another. Individual liberty and truth, censorship. This runs through 1984, where individual liberty is curtailed and truth is censored. In fact, truth is turned on its head and is reversed. Language, dear family, in 1984, language is under attack. They come up with something called doublethink and new speak, okay, where, you know, everything is subject to a different thinking, a double think. Everything is subject to new speak, different words, and manipulation of the language in such a way that yesterday you thought something meant one thing, but today it means something completely different. And the goalpost is just moved and things are shifted. And if you try to resort to the original meaning, you are looked upon as some archaic, crazy individual who is not moving with the times. Understand, this is what George Orwell predicted, and this is where we currently live. And finally, technology, an all-seeing eye. Dear family, this is your television. Okay, this is your television. Tell lies via your vision. This is the, you know, I think there was an hadith in Islam that talked about the Dajjal, the one-eyed monster that will be in the living room of the believers, that would be in the home of the believers. And of course, again, most of us religious people, we tend to think like children. We tend to think in terms of cartoons and fairy tales. So many people who are in the Islamic faith, they conjure up in their minds a monster with one eye, a Dajjal in their living room, in their home, when in reality the scripture is the hadith, the saying is really talking about a day that would come when we would have an instrument in our homes that is like an eye, because it transmits and it receives images. This is what the all-seeing eye is all about. In 1984, they're called telescreens. Okay, and this was before the mass production of television in the 1940s, when these things were just very new coming about. And it's telescreens and a watchful eye. Dear family, we are being observed and we are being listened to through our smartphones, through our smart TVs, through all of these technologies. What is that woman called that they all talk to now? They ask her to close their curtains. They ask her what time it is. Siri. Siri, is it Siri? It is.
Alexa.
Alexa. Oh, Alexa, can you do this for me? Alexa, what's happening with this? Alexa. And, you know, I saw one video where they asked Alexa, Alexa, are you working for the CIA? And Alexa went quiet. Alexa couldn't answer that particular question in the affirmative, and she couldn't answer it in the negative. She just went quiet because maybe that was not programmed in to give a truthful answer. Dear family, this is what we are dealing with this evening. These are images from the past. Big Brother is watching you, and these are the types of things that the Caucasian would have all around the place to basically make it palatable and to make it like it's no big deal. You know, you got this eye behind the people, this poster, and it became, you know, like something really acceptable. But people don't necessarily appreciate and understand just how sinister and how real that concept is. Go ahead, Sister Claudia.
Also, DC Precise and Yon Muhammad reminding us of what we said, sorry, is iPhone. Watch, isn't it? You say sorry, call so and so,
Yes.
and it'll call.
Siri is on the iPhone,
Yes,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Siri, yeah.
And also, Yon Muhammad said Google is always listening.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We're actually gonna come on to Google in a little while. Not necessarily too deep into it, but if I remember, I do touch on that just a little bit in terms of the new speak and the types of things that we now, have come to know in this modern era. Dear family, everyone is under monitoring and surveillance through telescreens. This is in 1984. There is the subversion of history through the Ministry of Truth. Think about that. You got a ministry called the Ministry of Truth, and that ministry's objective is to subvert history. Okay, it's to distort history, but it's called the Ministry of Truth. And this is what you'll find now, where the thing that is designed to deceive you. I mean, it's like pedophiles. Where do you find pedophiles? You find them mostly working in schools and where children are located. That's where pedophiles hang out. That's their favorite place to hang out, dear family. And so this is how this thing works, okay? They're gonna call it the Ministry of Truth because actually it's the Ministry of Lies. I think Biden recently signed a bill into law, something called the something like the inflation reduction thing. But according to most of the pundits, most of those who are analyzing what this thing is, they say it's the complete opposite to inflation reduction. In fact, it's going to cause greater inflation. And it's more to do with bringing in the so-called Green New Deal, where they're trying to bring in lots of legislation to do with climate change and everybody going green and eliminating fossil fuels and all of that crazy stuff, which is going to bring a lot of people under a lot of pain and suffering, in particular in the so-called developing nations, Africa and all of these other places where fossil fuel is absolutely necessary for our growth and development. But the West is now determined to try to convince everybody that they need to go electric, go green, and there is no infrastructure for any of that in truth in place, whilst at the same time they're eliminating the ability for people to actually properly survive and live, because where we've become dependent on these other on these fuels, they're now basically cutting back. And there's all manner of dire predictions for this winter in Europe, in the UK, even in North America, where shortages are going to cause a lot of people to suffer, dear family. And so, again, this is how the enemy works. They call it truth when in reality it's a lie. Another casualty of the totalitarian state is the truth using language. Okay? It's all about language. It's all about newspeak. It's all about doublethink. And this is what's happening as we speak. This happens in the shape of mottos such as war is peace. Okay? War becomes peace. And they'll tell you, these people, they'll tell you that they are the peacemakers. And I never ever will get tired of quoting this fact and this statistics. There are 193 countries on the planet affiliated to the United Nations. 193 nation states that are recognized by the United Nations. This country in which I currently reside, called the United Kingdom, has been to war or been in conflict with 171 of those 193 countries. I ask you the simple question: who is the warmonger on the planet? If you've been to war with 171 of 193 countries on the planet, who is? But you will hear them constantly talking about peace, peace, peace. We are the peacemakers. We're peace loving. And all of these other people are horrible and terrible people making war on us. No, dear family. War is peace, according to these people. Or to bring it right up to date, men, women, or children can now transition into any sex they choose. I'm talking about double speak, I'm talking about double think, I'm talking about new speak. Men, women, and children can now transition into any sex that they choose. Okay, you can be whatever you want to be in the world, even if it is in defiance of the natural way in which God has created the human being. And I just want you all to remember, you see, where you have, this prevalence now of homosexuality and transism and all of these other things. But think about it, dear family. The homosexual couldn't be here, the lesbian or the homosexual or the trans person couldn't be here unless they came here via the male and the female. I just want us to think about this. See, God didn't make a mistake. But now, in our arrogance, we want to say that, God is out of the picture. Get lost, God. You don't know. Yeah, you made a mistake. You don't know what you're talking about. We know better. And we're now going to be man on man. We're going to be woman on woman. Even though we know how we got here and we know that's the only way we can get here. We know you're trying to work on some test tubes and you're trying to graft a womb onto the back of a man and all kinds of crazy stuff. And all of what that indicates is that we're near the end, dear family. Okay, because again, if you don't know, I'll tell you right now, the Caucasian people, they came here via a process of genetic engineering. And when you see all of the dabbling and playing around now with genetics and the human genome and all of these things that they're doing, it is because they've come full circle and it's the end. Okay, we are near the end of their experimentation and their defiance and denial and rebellion against God. Dear family, on a wall at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, one of the most wicked and deceptive secret agencies in the world, the following words can be found written boldly. It says, "The work of a nation, the center of intelligence. And ye shall know the truth." This is in like a reception area of the CIA at Langley and boldly written on the wall. "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Stolen from the book of John chapter 8, verse 32. I didn't say taken or lifted from the book of John. I said stolen, because this is a deceiver putting scripture from Jesus, from God, on the wall to deceive people into thinking that they represent truth when they are a secret agency designed to spread lies and deception, and they assassinate and they murder and they do all manner of evil all around the world. But imagine the bold-faced liars that they are to put something like that on their wall for all to see as they enter the reception area of the CIA in Langley. My goodness. And just for context, dear family, the British Foreign Secret Intelligence Agency, or MI6, uses the Latin motto Semper Occultus. Semper Occultus meaning always secret. That's closer to the truth. Yeah, that's closer to the truth. Semper Occultus. Semper Occultus. That's Latin, which means always secret. And that's the CIA. It's always a secret. It's always deception. It's always lying. It's always stealing. It's always corruption. Okay? But the CIA are so damn brazen that they want to put the word of God on their evil, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. This is another reason why so many people reject religion, because you have Satan quoting scripture, Satan manipulating the good books, be it the Holy Quran or the Bible, Satan uh, diving into these scriptures and misinterpreting their meaning in order to deceive people. And so many people, you know, they make the mistake, of course, of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, when in reality, you got to throw Satan, the dirty water, away. Keep the baby, dear family. Keep the baby. There's nothing wrong with the books. It's just the interpretation of the books. That's the problem. That's the problem, dear family. And we got to stop allowing these people to cause us to reject God, because that's doing tremendous harm to ourselves. And that's their aim. That's their objective. Dear family, propaganda in 1984 is used to control people through an organized propaganda machine of the Ministry of Truth. The so-called Ministry of Truth is involved in the spreading of propaganda through the distortion of facts and truth and the altering of historical facts, and then the masses of the people inadvertently propagate lies as truth throughout the country and even the world. You see how it works, right? They propagate all of these lies and falsehoods, and then we, the people, take them on board, and then we start to spread it all around, because we hear these things and then we pick it up. And the amount of things I hear people regurgitating all the time, and I know there's no actual facts, beloved. There's no actual facts, Sister Claudia said. And we just regurgitate things that we heard, and, you know, when in reality, what we heard was propaganda that was spread, and we just run with it. And then the next thing you know, we become a part of that propaganda machine. This is the world in which we live, dear family. I never forget when they put on a show came out, and this became a global phenomenon, a show called Big Brother. You know, where you've got people watching television, watching other people sleeping, watching other people in a house. And again, people don't and necessarily didn't realize what this program was designed to do, but it was one of many programs designed to familiarize or to sanitize or to make people accepting of being constantly watched, being constantly observed, being constantly viewed in private areas. You've got shows on TV now where I've never watched it. As God is my witness, I've seen it advertised, Love Island or things like that. But I know in some of these shows, they're showing people having sexual relations in the room. You don't see it full blown, but they're making it very clear what's going on between these almost complete strangers who are brought together. Then they're filming them in the night in the bed or something like that. I mean, it's just some sick stuff, man. But this is all designed to make you believe that privacy is just non-existent, and that it's all right to view people in their most intimate and private moments. This is what's broadcast on national television. Go ahead.
But when you think of it, like Instagram, when people just post, or look at what I'm doing, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, just, random things.
Yeah, this is it. This is what I'm saying. It's like it's just crazy now what people do, where nothing is sacred, nothing is private.
You're standing outside the building taking a picture. Yes, and what you're trying to show, it doesn't make any sense anymore.
And everybody, in particular the young girls, everybody's like that with their phones on the road. And I'm wondering, what are you doing?
Yeah, who's interested? But then people are interested.
Of course.
Following somebody else's life and leaving their own life behind.
Social media, beloved. Social media. They really should call it anti-social media.
That's right.
At this time, let's check out a few more of our sponsors, dear family. My camera is holding up. Thank you so much. I pray that it stays the course. And let me know if it's a good picture, because
No, that is actually better, that camera. It looks better.
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes,
I'm
it's
loving
a
this.
better image.
I'm loving this image. Visit www.natureshairproducts.co.uk and try the moisturizing hair and scalp oil, as well as beard oil and other natural hair products. Dear family, get your Nature's Hair product. Visit the Tribe. These are beautiful, fashionable, up-to-date garments for young people who want to show that they are in tune with the time and they're part of the tribe. www.tribenation2019.com, dear family. Brothers and sisters, Nia's Bean Pies. Visit Instagram at Nia's Bean Pies or call 07956 127975. Anybody who knows anything about mobile numbers in the UK, they know that 07956 is one of the old school numbers from back in the day.
You can rely on
You
that.
can rely on that number. That's been around for years, man. 07956 127975.
They pay their bills.
They pay their they pay their bills. That's right. They haven't been cut off. They haven't been cut off and thrown away to the wayside. I'll say it once again. 07956 127975. Pick up your bean pie. Order it in London and it will be delivered to your door, dear family. It is a delicacy in the nation of Islam. The wonderful, powerful bean pie. Dear family, visit www.p2bb.uk or londonstudygroup19.org and order your Proud to be Black t-shirts, caps and mugs, and say it like you mean it, P2BB. By the way, we should be down this weekend in the carnival, and we will have P2BB t-shirts and badges with us. So look out for the brothers and maybe a couple of sisters from the Nation of Islam, but look out for the brothers anyway, who will have some Proud to be Black merchandise, and you can grab something from us down there at the Notting Hill Carnival. I don't believe Carnival has been on for the last few years, but it would appear that it's back for August, the end of August 2022. And so we will take a little walk down there to see our people. And as I said, we will have some merchandise with us.
What days are you there?
We will be there on Sunday and also Monday, Bank Holiday Monday. Those 2 days of Carnival, dear family. Now, beloved brothers and sisters, this is the final thing on our sponsors. Don't forget, brothers and sisters, visit our YouTube channel, The Nation of Islam, London Study Group New. That's North, East and West. Okay? LSG. Like, share and subscribe, dear family. Click the donation button to help us continue what we are doing. Every little bit helps. Every little bit counts. It could be just a little pound or $1 that you contribute. It could be 100 or 1,000. Really, all of it goes a long way to helping us to continue this process. And really, we want to develop the show, take it onto another level, and bring the technology to bear so that we can really create alternative news to the current thing that is out there, which is really about deceiving us and taking us backwards.
Quick question, DJ Mr. P asks, is there where you're going to be in Carnival? Is there a particular point you'll be? Or?
All I can say, beloved brother DJ Mr. P, is that we'll be coming in from around the kind of Kilburn area around the 2 o'clock mark. I can't say specifically where we'll be because we're not sure ourselves right now, in the sense that You know, it's a moving situation on the ground, and we'll be possibly moving around. We may be static at some points, but look out for us, dear brother. You know you can't miss us with those blue suits and red bow ties, and we will be coming in from around the kind of Kilburn area, that side, and not the Notting Hill side, not the other side, but the Kilburn side, coming in from that side, and you know, coming in approximately around the 2 o'clock mark, hopefully. Dear family, the party in or out of government. Okay, this is the party depicted in 1984, but this really is also talking about all of these political parties today. Okay, the party in or out of government wants to have complete control over the thoughts and actions of the public. The propaganda machine also invents new information and new words, such as 2-minute hate. In 1984, they got a 2-minute hate where people are just hating. And you know, believe me, dear family, we got the equivalents going on today, all right, where people are just hating on other people, especially on social media. There's a lot of madness that goes on, and this type of thing is really encouraged. And also, Big Brother is watching is another one of those propaganda things, because you know, constantly being told that you're being watched is also to instill fear and to make people, you know, trepidatious and nervous, and to think that, well, you know, we are so small, so minuscule, and this Big Brother, you know, he's got all the power, and so therefore, you know, we just have to cow down and hide away and be small and be limited and don't rock the boat and don't say the wrong thing. You know, this is the purpose of this type of propaganda.
But it's funny, when a crime happens to a black person, no cameras, isn't it? Oh, we didn't see
All
what
of a sudden,
happened.
all of a sudden, all of a sudden, there were no cameras.
No,
They
no
can't see what
cameras,
happened
yeah,
to
we
us.
didn't see. Yeah.
But let something happen to one of them.
Oh yeah.
Let something happen
Every
to a
angle,
policeman. Right.
Every angle.
Exactly. Exactly. The objective of the propaganda is to make people loyal to the party and the direction mapped out by the secret or hidden government, or to bring our language up to the modern time, the deep state, dear family. This is what we are talking about. This is what that hidden government is called in the modern parlance. Go ahead,
Oh,
sister.
Brother Alvin, sorry, I forgot to mention you, Brother Alvin, earlier. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Alvin is the brother. He said, remember the film The Purge?
The Purge, yes. You know, that was promoting literally, if I remember, I think, remind me, Brother Alvin, if we're correct in this assessment, where it was like a particular time of the year, a particular night, maybe where people could literally just kill and murder anybody they wanted. They could literally just create absolute mayhem for that time period, that night. I believe that's what this purge was all about. And again, you know, most people don't understand that this is actually something that's been promoted. This is an idea and a concept that's been pushed, that people, one of these days we're going to get to that stage where people will be allowed, it will become so lawless that people will be able to go out and kill their enemies, do all manner of evil to those that they don't like, those neighbors that don't look like them, etc. Go ahead,
Yes, he
sis.
said that's right.
That's the one, yeah? The Purge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember, I can't remember if I saw the whole thing. I think it was maybe one of them films that I started to watch, and then I said, man, these people are just too damn wicked. Because, you know, dear family, going back to that television, imagine, you know, you're trying to live a righteous life, but you will put the TV on and there'll be unrighteous people on that TV having sexual intercourse or other debauchery and other nasty, filthy acts, and you allow that to come. Some of us have got the TV in our bedroom, right? the Honourable
No,
Minister
sir.
Louis Farrakhan told us, do not have that thing in your bedroom. Very, very dangerous, dear family. Very, very dangerous. Notice that I'm getting a signal saying that my battery on my computer is low, so I just wanted to touch it. Dear family, think about what we do. That Dajjal, that one-eyed monster that we have in our home, and that we allow all manner of filth and craziness. This is what's happening in the whole land, in the whole places. They got the TV, beloved,
Right.
and this stuff is pumped in.
And Brother Alvin also made a point, which I've actually seen myself, about just recently our young people went robbing in mass down Oxford Street. And that's what people, they just steal from shops. They don't run anymore.
Yes.
They walk out looking at everyone, yes, because you can't stop them.
Yes.
You're not allowed to touch people now if
Yes.
they're stealing.
Yes. Yeah, but then that's because that's by design. You see, they're trying to create. Understand one of the things that they're doing, dear family. You know, the other day I showed a little footage from Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia. And I'm going to go back to that at some stage, because I want to really talk about that, because they're creating this very, very stark two-tiered society. I mean, it's there already, but it's going to get worse, man, where people are just going to be absolutely zombies, dead and decrepit out on the streets, and it's going to be a free-for-all, and it's going to be literally dog eat dog and kill or be killed, while the elite will be living in high-rise luxury, literally on private islands, and they've even got underground cities, dear family, in the UK, in the United States and other parts. They have these facilities already, okay? And they're deliberately creating this type of strife and this type of crazy, out of control world where people will literally be tearing each other apart. Again, this is why it's called dystopian. This is why it's called Orwellian. This is why this is what's being predicted to happen. This is your Mad Max society, okay? After they have perpetrated some type of Holocaust, after they have detonated some type of nuclear device, this is where the world is headed. And it will be by Allah's permission if it goes that far. But make no mistake about it, at a certain point in time, when God intervenes, that devil is going to get absolutely wiped off the face of the earth. No matter how deep his bunker is, or where he thinks he's going to be able to hide, or if he thinks he's going to be able to get in a rocket ship and go off to some other planet, he's going nowhere but to hell, dear family. And I want us to really, really contemplate how it is that we are going to survive.
That's why it's important to study the scriptures, because God warns to see what will happen to the mischief makers, you know, all through the scriptures. We've got to learn what God's power is.
Absolutely.
Because we'll be saved if we're with him.
Absolutely, beloved. We've got a blueprint.
That's right.
For our own salvation.
That's right.
But it's just whether or not people understand and don't that create confusion and misunderstanding. You've got to go with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by that man in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That is the interpretation that we need. You remember, beloved sister, we were just listening this morning to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at the World Council of Religions, talking to all of the religious people, Christians and Hebrews and Jews and Hindus and all the nationalities, all the white people. And we can bear witness at the end of that lecture, which went on for maybe nearly 2 hours, over an hour and a half, all of the people coming up, white people, Black people, brown people, yellow people, men and women coming up, some of them in tears.
They all want to touch the minister.
Just wanting to touch the hem of the minister's garment, thanking him for his words, which was so powerful. It was the best thing they'd ever heard in their lives. These are all different religions, dear family. Listening to this black man who is a Muslim, coming with a brand new, different interpretation of the scriptures, never before heard on this planet. Come on, dear family. Think about this. Look at me, Leo Muhammad. I hardly went to school, man. Had about 3 years of formal education my whole life. A proper, foolish individual growing up on these crazy streets of London, doing all manner of madness and evil. Only by the grace of God am I here today, and I'm not 6 feet under in a grave somewhere. But why am I able today to speak like this? Why am I able to influence other people's lives and cause people to want to change their lives, man, all over the world, just with a word?
That's right.
It is because, dear family, I am attempting, striving hard to follow that man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I pray that you will be wise and do the same. Dear family, Orwell conceived his imaginary surveillance state as Oceania before personal computing, before the information revolution, before CCTV, before 24-hour news cycles, before reality television. Don't forget, Orwell did all of this. He predicted all of this before any of it was in reality. Surveillance and political repression today is far more complex and sophisticated than in Orwell's time, and far more technologically advanced, dear family. He saw a level of technology and advancement. He saw a level of sophistication, but where we are today, man, it's way beyond anything that Orwell could ever have conceived. It's gone way beyond the Orwellian state that Orwell depicted. Look, man, you got people like this in rooms all over the country. Right. I remember we used to be part of the planning of the yearly Emancipation Day March Committee, and we would sometimes have to go and negotiate with the police and the council about exactly what route we were going to take on our march and things of that nature. And we went to a particular place, a particular building on at least 3 occasions I've been in there, where they've got these massive screens up, and they've got every intersection of every major intersection in the city of London, looking at the traffic and the people. And I mean, this surveillance state is absolutely wide. Spread. It's so sophisticated. They've got special cameras that read your number plate. They've got special cameras that look into the car itself to see whether you're touching your mobile phone. They've got cameras that can, oh man, facial recognition. They've got cameras designed to do so many things. This is where we live. This is the world in which we are, dear family. Go ahead,
no,
Sister
but
Corey.
with you just saying it, it just made me so excited thinking of the minister on the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
When he revealed what was said.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Reveal it. What
Reveal.
did the minister say?
Well, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad told him from the wheel, on the wheel, that the president had met with the Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a war.
Oh my God.
Because as much as the devil is observing and looking at everybody and being an international snooper, man, he can't see like God.
Oh, come on.
God sees and hears everything that this devil is up to, dear family. So I don't want us to become afraid and become nervous and trembling because, this man, this big brother, is trying to make himself like he's all seeing and all knowing. No, dear beloved family, there's only one all seeing, all knowing. Dear family, in the week after Edward Snowden's revelations of US government mass surveillance were first revealed, you remember Edward Snowden? And he revealed how the NSA and all of these snooping agencies were absolutely just scraping up everybody's information, everybody's data, everybody's communications. In the week after Edward Snowden's revelations of US government mass surveillance were first revealed, and it wasn't just US government surveillance, okay? Julian Assange and WikiLeaks revealed that this was global, that Britain was involved, that GCHQ was involved in all of this surveillance networking that was going on. Sales of the 1984 novel rocketed by 6,000% after Edward Snowden revealed what he revealed, okay? A year later in Thailand, 1984, the book became a symbol of resistance to government repression and was promptly banned. That's how powerful 1984 was, that the government in Thailand had to ban the book because it was being used by people who were resisting the repression of the government, and they couldn't have that, so they banned the book. And following Donald Trump's inauguration and the conspicuously Orwellian admission by one of his chief strategists, Kellyanne Conway, that his administration, quote, trades in alternative facts. Yeah, this was something that came out in the news where Donald Trump's assistant, one of his people in his administration said that, well, you know, when he was being challenged on certain facts, and this is again, you know, being pointed to as part of this Orwellian doublespeak, doublethink, newspeak that goes on in this world. But again, I just want to caution all of us, Donald Trump is not the worst thing. I'm telling you, this is a trick trying to get you to focus on that man. What you got to understand, like we went through last week in Satan casting out Satan, all of the presidents 10 times worse than that man. I'm telling you, he's just a businessman, but they are career politicians, and the politicians are the best liars on the planet, the best deceivers on the planet. They just want you to focus on that man because he actually became a thorn in their side, in that he wouldn't go along with everything that has gone before. Basically, their family, 1984, once again leapt to the top of the bestsellers list after the revelations of Edward Snowden and those whistleblowers who told the masses of the people some of the truth of what was going on behind the scenes. Subversion of reality. Most people are manipulated and made to live in abject poverty. This is what's coming, dear family. They are trying to create a poverty-stricken populace who are completely dependent on the government and on the system, and they can give you little handouts. And at a certain point in time, if you break the rules or you don't conform or you don't go along, you can find yourself cut off. Okay, and this is one of the reasons as well why they're trying quickly to move towards a cashless society where everything will be electronic and digital and on cards or whatever. And that way they can control whether you get paid or whether you don't get paid, whether you are acceptable to them or whether you are unacceptable to them. This is the direction, this is the trajectory that they are on. But as I said, this is why we got to get with Almighty God, because when the devil tries to cut you off, he will lay a table for us in the midst of our enemies, and we will continue to eat, dear family. Most people are manipulated and made to live in abject poverty, while others are subjected to the tactic of divide and rule and working against each other. Children are separated from and made to become spies against and enemies of parents and adults. This is happening right now. Okay, the divide between the youth and the elders, it's not by accident, it's by design, and it's been manipulated every day.
That's why you can call the police on your parents.
Absolutely, absolutely, dear family. And now you have no rights over your children, but the government has rights over your children. The government can give contraceptives to your children, to your daughter. The government can vaccinate your children against your will. All of these kind of things are what's taking place. There is to be no real romantic, I put here, Afromantic love and sex. Afromantic, because we're not Romans, dear family, we're Black people. Our origin is from that beautiful continent called Africa. And so there is to be no real Afromantic love and sex. People must believe in the system of government and what they don't understand or know. This is what is the requirement. Now we must believe in the government, and we must believe in that which we do not know. Or when you go back and look at this COVID thing that went down a little while ago, and you would see people literally believing in an injection and having no concept or idea of what this thing was all about and the danger and what this thing could do. And we're now seeing the ramifications. We're now seeing the results of young people left, right, and center dropping down dead with inexplicable, no reason whatsoever. Young people having heart attacks, young people having blood clots, young people suffering and dying all over the planet because they allowed themselves to be subject to something that they didn't understand and something that they didn't know. Facts are turned into lies, and then these lies are disseminated as truth. The public memory is being manipulated with new information that further alienates the people from reality. This is all real, dear family. Okay, you are to be detached from reality. And more, you will find yourself shaking your head, listening to the news and listening to some of these talking heads, some of these experts, and you're like, but that doesn't make any sense. But they'll keep relentlessly telling you the same thing over and over again. And eventually, you know what we do? Eventually we say, okay then, and we go along to get along. Because we got a mortgage, or we got this little job that we have to preserve at all costs because we can't afford, to not have that little job because it means absolute poverty and degradation. What is peace? War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. This is where we are. This is the type of language that is now being propagated. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. I've said to you before, and I'll say it again. Muammar Gaddafi was such a beautiful, beautiful human being. But what do you know about him? Be honest. You believe that man was some evildoer, some sponsor of terrorism. This is because you believe that freedom is slavery. This is the reality of what's been done. See, a man is on the planet trying to enlighten us, but many of us would rather bury our heads in the sand because we think that in our ignorance, somehow we'll be strong. Somehow that's the best place to be, not to know. I'd rather not know. I remember one day a brother said to me when we were out on the street propagating the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the brother said to me, I'm not going to come to your meetings because if I come to your meetings, you're going to change me. You're going to stop me from stealing. You're going to stop me from doing my thing, man. And I said, my God, ignorance is strength. They say ignorance is bliss. Bliss. My God. Okay, dear family, as we come towards the end of our program today, the Holy Quran, chapter 7, verse 17 says, then will I assault them from before them and behind them, from their right and their left, nor wilt thou find in most of them gratitude for thy mercies. This is the Yusuf Ali translation of the Holy Quran. Reads a little bit different to the Maulana Muhammad Ali translation. Then will I assault them from before them and behind them, from their right and their left, nor will thou find in most of them gratitude for thy mercies. This is the devil saying how he's going to attack the members of the human family. He's going to come from every side and he's going to cause us to have no gratitude towards God and his mercies, the mercy of life that we've been given freely. Dear family, we need to be mindful of how we are walking into some subtle but serious changes in language, expression, and attitudes that lead to the acceptance of a way of life that is not of our choosing, but one which feeds the power grab of an enemy who wants complete control of mind, soul, and body. This is what's going on. This is why the language is changing all the time, subtly. We're just seeing all of these different words coming in and different phrases and things, and we take it all for granted. Some of it is just very innocent, but in reality, and I mean, believe me, there are thousands of words that I could have chosen. I only chose a few to use here. Hypersonic, Google, deep state, bromance. Do you know what a bromance is? This is now two men loving on each other, bromance, selfies. And there's a scripture that talks about the people in that time becoming so selfish, so self-centered. Let me take a selfie. Let me take a selfie. Internet, OMG, oh my God, chillax, chill out, man. Twitter, dumped, unfollowed, podcast, sexting. People are now not just texting one another, they're sexting, okay? It's all about sexting, especially with some of our young people. Cryptocurrency, laughing, crying emojis, the cloud. Again, we mentioned the cloud earlier on. So much of what we do on these computers now stored in the cloud. But who's got access to the cloud? Do you think you're the only one got access to your material that's in the cloud? Game changer, patient zero, unfriend, LOL, laugh out loud, binge watching, no biggie. You know, back in the day, black people say, yeah, that's no biggie, man. Now everybody's using that term. White people, no biggie, no big deal. Website, webinar, cancelled, and so on and so forth, dear family. There's so much more that we could have touched on in this, but I pray that you have gotten the gist of this 1984 being in full effect and in existence today. This is the reality of where we are. And I pray, dear family, that we will have a determination to extricate ourselves from this web of lies and deceit, and that we will come towards our God to return, like the prodigal son, return to our Father's house, return to our righteous state, to our natural selves, to our nature. I pray, dear family, that the Imagination Show will be a catalyst in that process to help you as an individual to be yourself. Thank you so much. We're going to go over to Sister Claudia for some last notices.
Just a quick point from our brother Mark X. He said, thank you for the great information on this critical topic of worldwide surveillance. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the devil is the universal snooper. He's looking at us throughout the planet and into space, trying to steal a peek at the exalted assembly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that,
Beautiful.
brother.
Beautiful
Point.
Beautiful.
And that's brother Mark X from Muhammad Mosque number 66.
Thank you, brother Mark X. Beautiful to hear from you, dear beloved brother.
And also brother Mr. DJ P was asking what was the title of the lecture, the minister's lecture that we was listening to, and where can he watch it?
I think, dear brother, because the version that I was watching didn't really have the title, and many years ago I tried to find that title on YouTube and it wasn't there, but I think now if you go to YouTube and you type in Minister Farrakhan at the Minister Farrakhan, World Council of Churches. If you type that in, I believe that that lecture will be there. And there's maybe a couple of them, different versions of, or two where the minister has actually spoken at different times to the World Council of Churches. Anything else, Sister Claudia?
Also, Brother Yon, praise
Yon Muhammad.
Yeah, thank you very much. Brother and sister, may Allah continue to bless you. Also, need to write these down. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's Chukwu-Buka. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry if I butchered your name. I'm really sorry.
Chukwu-Buka.
Yeah, sorry.
Ume.
Yes, and brother Ishmael Thomas. He says he's listening. Yes, your friend.
My brother,
Yes.
brother Ishmael Thomas. Good to hear from you,
And
dear brother.
And Dornelius, peace, and to all the family, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your time and support, and we look forward to hearing you next week, inshallah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. May Allah bless each and every one of you as I greet you, as I found you in the greeting words of peace. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.